quarter and the last day of this fiscal year 25. Hi, hey everyone, I'm Tim Alston. I'm your host for the 10 Commandments of Leadership. This is where we do two main things. We educate, equip, and empower emerging leaders with God thought leadership. And number two, we also present current events and newsmakers in the light of biblical best practices, or as I like to say, best practices from the Bible. And this episode is no exception. I'm glad that you're here with us today. Had a couple of technical glitches, but I've been able to try to work through them. I think we'll find out now. Well, I think one of the current events that happens is certainly Father's Day. It's a day when the nation pauses to celebrate the contributions of fathers. And I've always enjoyed Father's Day, except for these past 2 years. And that's why the devotional that I read the other morning, I think it was Saturday morning before heading to church, really resonated with me. The devotional text that accompanied the devotional was, "My grace is sufficient for you." The title of this message today is Grace in the Present Sense. That was found in 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. Saturday's Streams in the Desert devotional told me of a grieving father who buried his youngest child and who later begged God to grant him or to make grace sufficient. Then he noticed the verse that was framed on his wall. It said, "My grace is sufficient." And the word "is" glowed like a neon. I, Tim Alston, needed that glow, that neon glow. You see, 16 months ago, my 12-year-old daughter stopped speaking to me after I remarried. I still help her by paying her monthly rent and a third of her monthly car insurance as she is a student away in college down in the state. I still text her a daily devotional message, but the radio silence still lingers. Some mornings that ache feels heavier than the monthly rent and the car insurance payment. Yet, I'm learning that grace is not future tense. Grace is present tense. Therefore, as a recovering egoholic, I must now do what I'm always telling you to do, and that's apply the egoholism recovering framework to this parent's long wait. Specifically, I must now apply the TOP model. For example, I must target the problem, the pain of this prolonged silence from a 21-year-old daughter, and the nagging fear that she's being poisoned against me. I miss her. And I cry out, "Lord, I miss her." And the distance wounds me, and I have to target that problem. Next, I must own the problem. You see, I too was once at a distance from my parents when I was 21 years old. And I must confess that. I must be transparent and recognize and affirm her adult agency. I must, for example, confess what is mine, which is the divorce dynamics and the remarriage shock, obviously to her. But I must release what is not mine, and that is her choices and others' voices. And now, after targeting and owning the problem, I must now proceed and take action. First of all, I've got to keep the porch light on and the heart unlocked. Keep up the daily devotional text, the open door invitation, and continuing paying that rent and insurance payment, those rent and insurance payments. Keeping porch light hospitality visible, yet making it non-coercive. I don't keep it on in the sense of saying, since I do this for you, then you must do this for me. No. I want her to return to me in love, not out of a sense of duty or obligation or some level of entitlement. Some may debate that, not here. I must widen the intercession circle to include her influences. These are the TOP precepts of egoholism recovering framework. And it helps to keep me sane, I must admit. I whisper her names in the doorway. I whisper her name in the doorway. I thank God by faith for the reunion already scheduled on his calendar. Let me say that again. I thank God by faith for the reunion that is already scheduled on his calendar. But in the meantime, then I must go to work. I must write, I must serve, and I must love people, those people who are currently present. And then I have to keep going with what I call the 10 commandments of egoholism recovering. Namely, number one, I must glance back quickly. I must remember in glancing back my own season as a 21-year-old youthful distance from my parents and let it breed empathy, but not judgment. Number two, I must dig deeply to unearth hidden treasures, examine my motives. Do I want contact for the sake of image repair or for her flourishing? You see, unearth buried treasures, unearth humilities. Number three, I must become an active listener. I must prepare my heart now to listen first when she speaks. No opening rebuttals, only caring curiosity. Number four, grow up to be a child. Pray the simple prayer of Annie Johnson Flint's in her hymn, He giveth and giveth and giveth again. Childlike trust, not some strategic leverage. Step five is turn those bitter lemons into better lemonade and better lemon meringue pie. Frame the lost season as the fertile soil for parents. Number six, healing through revealing. Gently communicate with her community. Testimony breaks shame and invites collective intercession. And step seven, now that you know, go, elevate, and grow. Keep serving, Tim Alston, while you wait. Maybe your silence comes from an employee who left without notice or a friend who ghosted after a hard conversation. The symptoms differ, but the ache is identical. This afternoon, I want you to highlight the verb, grace is sufficient. Right now, exactly where the silence shouts. Live the fact, not the wish. And if you see a porch light burning after midnight, remember, some father is still waiting, still believing, and still covered by a grace that never runs out. This, I will tell you, is one of the largest, most trying experiences I've ever been through. I mean, we did everything together. I was there in the delivery room. I gave her first bath there in, I guess, the receiving room. I taught her how to drive. I drove her to and from school every morning until she, in her work, saved up her money, paid her tithes and offerings to church, saved and invested, and paid in full cash for her first car. I taught her how to drive. I took her to every basketball and volleyball practice, every gymnastics class, every piano lesson. I was there. I was a very, very present father, not an absentee father at all. And so therefore you can imagine the pain that I feel, but my Bible tells me, I believe it's Ephesians 6:1, train up a child in the way he or she should go. And when they get old, they will not depart from it. I have a sense of positive expectancy that I will see my daughter. And as I said earlier in my script, that reunion has already been scheduled on God's calendar. And I live by his calendar. I try not to lean to my own understanding. Now, when she returns, and I thank God that he has had me in this wilderness for these years, for these months, these 16 months, I must receive her as did the prodigal father in Luke 15. Not recapping or recounting her past. Where you been? Why haven't I heard from you? That's not leading with love. I've got to be willing to accept her with open arms. Throw my cloak over her shoulders. Invite her in. Let her know that she's loved. I told her before. I said, wherever I am, before I remarried, I said, wherever I am, you always have a place to stay. Always have a place to stay. And now that I've remarried, my new wife and I have communicated to her, I've communicated to her from us that You will always have a place to stay. We respect you as an adult. You will not have a curfew. And also the fact you have your choice of guest bedrooms. She will return. God may not be waiting for her. He may simply be waiting for me so that I could grow up into the fatherhood ship that the Bible says must be honored by the children. God, I thank you for this wilderness experience. It is the leadership expert, Dr. John C. Maxwell, that says to us that the wilderness experience is for want of a better term, rite of passage that all moral leaders must go through. He said in that wilderness experience, like such as I'm experiencing now, 3 things will occur. Your calling gets clarified, your motives get purified, and your backbone gets solidified. I want those 3 things in my life. And if this is what it takes for me to get there, then Lord, bring it on. And thank you for the strength to endure, because your strength, let's get it right. Your strength is made perfect in my weakness. I miss my daughter. I look forward to connecting with her in God's scheduled calendar. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that I've been able to share some words of wisdom with you, some paternal hurt, frustration, anguish. But it's a path that all of us leaders must go through. We have to learn to bear the sorrows because we will in time learn to bear the joys. And there is always going to be a cessation of the rain. The clouds will roll back. The sun will shine through. I plan to be ready with the sunshine. If not the sunshine, I will be ready with that porch light. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you on tomorrow, July 1, the start of a new month, new quarter, and new fiscal year. Take care.